feel comfortable, you can sit on the chair also. As monastic, full moon is the day that we come together, particularly the Bhikkhunis. We have to come together and receive instruction, receive instruction from a senior monk. The senior monk must have at least 20 years, which means that he has been away at least 20 years, learned, and very important, be kind to Bhikkhunis. We've made that to Bhikkhunis. So yes, so after lunch, we will be going to see the most venerable Vachira Jayadiyajaan, who was our chief provincial monk, and he will be given us Uvaga. Today, actually, I planned to speak about something else, but then the one is sitting in front, came and asked me that she will be leaving to Mahā. They are actually dedicating merits. After 20 years of tsunami, they will be dedicating the merit to those deceased. That will happen on Sunday, 28th. So it reminded me of my activity as a Bhikkhuni at that time. It's about 10 days after tsunami that I gathered volunteers. That there were no Bhikkhuni Sangha yet, just myself, but I went with the Bhikkhus who had these Bodhisattva's ideas, Bodhisattva's mind, and were wanting to do something with this disaster that happened in Mahā and Phuket. That is in east coast of Thailand. Mahā is a provincial that is most badly hit. Phuket is an island just off from Mahā. So we went to Mahā. I hired a van that could take about 10 people. There were monks with us, there were lay volunteers, and just myself as a Bhikkhuni. We went not knowing really what to do, but we as monastics, we are supposed to be at least giving them comfort. Has something to do with the mind, spiritual comfort. We were put in Kaula. Kaula is a resort, up on the hill. And we were exposed to different stories that I would like to share with you. That mindfulness is very important in a time of crisis. When you have mindfulness, it really helps you through. The road in Mahā is the road that runs parallel to the beach. Of course, they wanted to show you the beauty of the beach. No? So as tsunami hit, all cars were going on the road, and all of them got killed because the tsunami washed them out. But there were some people who had reason in thinking that it's coming this way, so we cannot go along the road. We have to take off from the road. So they drove out, moved up the hill. Only those few cars were saved. So this is mindfulness that comes with panya, wisdom. There was one particular case of a survivor who actually offered food to me. He came to see me later. He was a worker on a construction site on the beach, right on the beach. And when tsunami hit, the water was like 2-3 stories above his head. And he was stuck because the end of his jeans got stuck to some kind of wire. So mindfulness and that that quick mind, he had time enough to remove his jeans, unbutton his jeans, and he came up, surged himself up to the surface of water. within a nick of time, otherwise he would have been dead in the water. That was how he survived. So when he came up to the surface of water, he had only his underwear. And then the tsunami washed him up the shore. And when he went up the shore, everybody was not looking at him, just wearing underwear, because everyone else was looking so weird, everyone else was in such a difficult time. He went up the hillside to look for his families, and that's where he met his wife. So this is how, in the nick of time, you don't do the normal things. The normal things that society would tell you is, you must wear proper clothes. At that nick of time, you have to save your life first. Your life is more important than your genes. Wearing jeans or not wearing jeans is secondary. So this really teaches us how we need to prioritize. We need to prioritize. Our Sangha members, most of them are so much trained in this traditional way of thinking. All of you will be there with tsunami. All of you will be driving on the road. Nobody would be thinking of driving off the road because the road is meant for the car. But in this particular situation, you have to drive off the road. And no police will come after you for driving off the track. You see? So this is how we prioritize. Yes, and then we from the place where we stayed, we went to visit the refugees, those who survived. The government, by that time, the government already started putting up tents for them. Now, another story. We see a pile of clothing sent from Bangkok. This pile of clothing is like mountain, something like 6 meters high of clothing that people from everywhere else in Thailand sent to the refugee camp. What happened in reality? Each of these people who suffered lost their house, lost their family. They needed only the clothes that they were wearing and maybe another set for them to change. They don't need any more. They don't need any more. So this pile of mountains of clothing that were sent from all over the country was of no use. And there were no volunteers enough to handle this pile, this mountain of clothing. A very interesting thing. Something also was sent from Bangkok. You would not believe this, but I have heard it with my own ears. Some people sent grandma's denture. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What is it going to do? What can it help with these people who are suffering from tsunami? So this is, what do you think? You really have to, some funny things happen. Then one time we were walking through the tent of the people who suffered. One lady, local one, must be wealthy because she was wearing 3 baht gold chain, real gold chain. She approached us, and because we are women, Bhikkhuni, she held my hand, and she was asking me about the son, the missing son. The bhikkhus, we were dedicating merit to the deceased one. At that time, she did not accept, no, her son was not there. But so, instead of dedicating the merit to her deceased son, her son is not there yet. So we dedicate the merit for her to find the right direction, to find her son, whether he's dead or he's alive. So at that moment, even the bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis themselves, we cannot go with that traditional way of thinking. We have to adjust ourselves right then and there. Then people sent brand new electric rice cooker. They didn't have electricity. Where can they plug? So at the very first moment of this disaster, what they really need, apart from spiritual guidance, food, cooked food, very simple cooked food and water. That's all they need. Clothing coverings and shelter, where to put them, So I have to say, in Sri Lanka, I also went to Sri Lanka after the tsunami in Thailand. The one who really reached them first were volunteers, Mahayana volunteers from Phu Quang San. Phu Quang San sent out a batch of people to set up tents for them and food, medicine. Doctors come after. Now, there's a story to tell you. The Bhikkhunis, the Sri Lankan Bhikkhunis, went out with food and medicine to visit villagers who suffer from tsunami. Now, a Western Bhikkhuni went out to deliver envelope. What is the meaning of envelope? In our culture, envelope means money. So the people were very happy that the Bhikkhunis were giving out envelope. They would be receiving money to buy food, but it's empty envelope. Now people were really annoyed. And the local Bhikkhunis were also annoyed because the Western Bhikkhuni thought, the way of thinking, different cultural background, thinking that people might need to write letters to their relative. So she was giving an empty envelope to people. So this understanding of cultural values is very important. Please remember, when you have an envelope, it means giving money. Whether it is to a monk or to lay people. In our culture also, today you will see that when we go and receive instruction, we always, with respect, we offer an envelope to the senior monk who will be giving us instruction. This one man that I remember, we stayed in the same resort. He flew all the way from England, can you imagine? Let's say his name is Bob. Bob flew all the way from England to dedicate himself to volunteers. And the job he did was to pick up the dead body, which is already in a bag, zip up. He has to open up the zip, put this body into another plastic bag. During this time, this body is not identified yet. So they will have people to identify the body and put all the details, and then Bob will be lifting the dead body into another bag. That was holy job. So Bob, before leaving that morning, he came for a blessing. It must have really been hard for him. He was weeping and crying, He lifted his shirt in order to wipe his tears, asked for blessing. I was moving, so very moving. There's one doctor, I need to tell you, Kuni Ponti. It is a female doctor who was there all the time with her team to identify the body and move the body from this bag to another bag with more details, with more proper details. Details like, this dead body has a gold chain, and on the gold chain there is amulet so, so at least the clothing is the color of clothing the person was wearing. Very important dentures, teeth, in details of teeth and denture. That is how for the relative to be able to help further identify the body. So such kind of job was very difficult, very difficult. the body were brought to this particular temple. The whole road to this temple, there are shop houses, there were restaurants, there were this and that, all had to close down because nobody would come with the stench of dead bodies that would carry for kilometers. That was reality. That was reality of tsunami. To be there is a life experience of learning that we really don't know. We really don't know much about anything at all. So we have to learn. We have to learn and relearn. We have to learn and relearn. So during this dedication of marriage to the deceased, on the 28th, I think the marriage need to be dedicated also to the volunteers. Because I really see the volunteers during that time were really dedicating themselves. Some students, some high school students, they would travel on a weekly basis to go down there to help clean up the place. You can imagine that it happened with a young mind. At the time of difficulties, Thai people somehow show their spirit, but otherwise they don't show much of this spirit. At tsunami, I was amazed at many of the positive energy that came out from Thai society. So remembering 20 years of what happened, tsunami that hit us is a great lesson. In Sri Lanka, there were debris, broken wood, broken carved wood, coming all the way from Thailand. Can you imagine? They found that in Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka is a small island. You would imagine that tsunami would hit only on the eastern side. No, because it is so small island. It hit and then it went around the whole island. So, in Colombo, the Buddhists were saying that, because of this, the Buddha's power, none of the Buddha image, none of the Buddha statue fell. That is not true. Because I went down south and all the Buddha images fell. The vihara, the wall of the vihara broke down like this. All the 4 walls broke down. And the Buddha statue, the main Buddha statue, fell off. Also in Thailand, I went to Wat Thong. Wat Thong is a small island next off Phang. All the Buddha statue fell. The abbot, he was a Chowle, Chowle is a tribe of people who live on the sea. And the abbot was from that tribe. And he said, he went up and he climbed up and hold on to the Buddha statue, the main statue. And he said, that is when he realized, Buddham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in the Buddha. Because he was holding on to the Buddha image, statue of Buddha image up there, that's how he survived. Whereas another monk in the same temple climbed up the coconut tree. And that's how he was survived. So stories like that, I don't know if anyone tried to capture these stories. It tells us lots of things that we need to learn. We need to learn and realize that, we don't know anything. We really don't know anything. So we have to learn from these stories in order for us to be more mindful. In the case of the man who survived the tsunami, he just let loose his team and he came up. And those stories of people who went off the truck of the road, that is a very good example of how we have to break away. At time of crisis, you have to break away from the normal way of life. Otherwise, you will get trapped. Yes? So, as good Buddhists, we should dedicate our share it, whatever we have done, all the good things that we have done, not only to the deceased, but also dedicate to the spirit, all the volunteers who went down, hundreds and thousands of them, not only from Thailand, but also abroad, who came all the way to help us out, both in Mahā as well as in Phuket. Thankful.